Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful weekend so far. And all of us at MetricDust extend you a very warm welcome to the fourth edition of Metric Talks. And I am Anjali. I'm going to be your host for today. And the topic of this webinar, as you all must be knowing, is the yield crisis. Can AI improve soil health management for farmers? So here's a question to you. Over the past decades, we've seen technologies like AI gradually transforming industries. But what about agriculture? What about the fourth cornerstone of any country, the foundation that quite literally feeds us? The question we are asking today is both urgent and complex. Why hasn't tech made a significant breakthrough in farming on a mass scale? And more importantly, what would it take to make that happen? To help us understand this problem and its probable solutions, we heartily welcome Karishma as guest speaker for this session. Karishma is a subject matter expert in agribusiness with years of rigorous research into sustainable agriculture and farming transformation. She challenges us to think differently about infrastructure, soil health, and how to truly empower farmers, not just with tools, but with the right systems, narratives, and awareness. Her insights are rooted in the realities of the ground, and she brings an informed perspective on why scalable impact has been so hard to achieve, even with promising technologies like precision farming and AI. As reports from NABARD and Niti Aayog show, only around 10% of Indian farmers use digital tools for agriculture. And globally, precision farming has barely crossed the 20% mark. So the question is this a design flaw, a distribution gap, or are we just not listening to the people working on the land every single day? We hope this session opens up new ideas and new questions because the yield crisis isn't just a farming problem, it's a national, even global concern. So, quick reminders before we begin. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we'll address them during the Q&A session. We encourage all of you to ask questions as and when they come to you instead of waiting till the Q&A session. Also, there's a feedback form attached that we'll be attaching very shortly in the chat so that you can get a certificate of participation. And now I invite Karishma to take this forward without much ado. Over to you, Karishma.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Anjali. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone, depending on the time zone that you're joining us. Hope all of you are doing well. Before we start this session, I want you to raise your hand or digitally if any one of you have eaten anything that is grown from the soil today. Please raise your hand if any of you have eaten anything that has been grown from the soil today. Okay. Amazing. Awesome. Fantastic. Great. You all qualify for a discussion on soil and sustainability. So before we proceed with this presentation, we always would like to know what exactly is agriculture and sustainability in agriculture. Now, I hear often thought leaders asking this question, is agriculture even sustainable? And my answer to that is it is not a yes and no question at all. It is about a mindset that we are cultivating. What really happens over here is that what we sow in our soil comes back to us in our plate. And then it comes in our pocket, and then it affects our planet as well. I want to tell you a story about a smallholder farmer from Guntur, Andhra Pradesh, generally known for growing chilies. They During my initial interaction with them, they had a lot of issues with heat wave stress, rising cost of input. Then they would have issues with irrigation as well. And then 3 years down the line, I happened to meet them again, and I see there are greener fields. Groundwater pumps are used much lesser than they used to in the past. And for some reason, the income has also increased by 25% for these farmers. So, what really changed over here? If we could go to the next slide, please. The farmers began mulching with crop residual. This actually boosted a lot of soil fertility. There was a farmer collective that was created, which led to accessibility to markets and better pricing as well, which in turn translated into economic development for the farmers. I saw some farmers also getting into drip irrigation with the help of, and they've connected it to smartphone timers. Now, what happened with that is that the quality of their life improved significantly. And my personal favorite was that the farmers got into soil testing either before season or after season, so that the farmers would get the results of the soil testing and they would discuss it with each other in their chopals. This created environmental awareness as well. What really informed this is that sustainable agriculture is possible. Knowledge and technology plays an immense role over here as an equalizer. With the right support and the application of tech, we could see more impact grown for the farmers and the farmers' income and building sustainable food security. Could we move to the next slide, please? Now, over here, what I want you all to do, and of course, we have very good participants over here. I want you to look at the slides or the diagram that we have over here and tell me what catches your attention. You can put it on the chat as well. And Anjali, if you could just read some of those chats, that would be super helpful.
Sure. Waiting for people.
I feel like the harvesting of crops has reduced and the livestock has increased. So maybe people are switching more from crops to animal protein.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. So what we are seeing is that there is a decline in agriculture's contribution to the GDP. Somewhere in 2021, it was around 18%, and now we are hovering between 14 and 15% contribution of agriculture to our GDP. So we do see a decline in that, particularly if we see the GVA. The contribution of crop in gross value add in agriculture, it has been declining over a period of time. So simply put, farming is losing momentum while manufacturing and services is going ahead over here. And technology is playing a vital role. Now, since we have participants such as Naveen as well, I would like to ask you, what do you feel is the role of technology in improving this GVA?
Did you mean me, Naveen?
Yes.
Well, I'm not much of an expert exactly.
But based
Yeah,
on whatever you've been exposed to till now, what do you feel?
I,
There's no right and wrong answer here.
okay. It is my opinion. One thing
Yes,
is, when I speak to farmers, the first thing they say is, the government is not assisting them. That is how they creep. I am not in a position to judge it exactly.
yes.
Second thing is manpower. The second thing they always say is, labor is a shortage because most of them want people to do software engineering. So most of the labor, the
Of
ones
course.
who want to learn, want to go out, there is no labors.
Yes,
So there is a huge divide between the classes now. The working class who want to do agriculture and the one who are aspirational, as you call it. Nobody wants to be aspirational in the farming field. I'm
absolutely.
getting, yeah. So I think these two, I'll wait for the others also. Yeah. That's my take on it from what I hear. I'm still learning the ropes, so I'm not much of an expert yet.
But definitely, this is the kind of thought as well as us questioning, as well as trying to understand what is really leading to this degrowth that we're going to start finding solutions together, Naveen.
Yeah.
So please keep that spark alive, because that's the only thing that's going to turn this graph from a downward to an upward graph. Anjali, do we
It
have
will.
any other Anjali, do we have any other responses?
No, Karishma, you can go ahead.
Superb. So let's commit in this discussion. What we're going to do is we are going to try to find where we're going to get this 4 to 5% increase in GDP that is contributing towards agriculture. So we're
Kari-
committing to that in our discussion. If we could,
Karishma.
yes,
Karishma, I'm really sorry to interject here. So I
yes,
wanted to ask one thing. How is
mhm,
the crowd today? I am a software engineer. I am literally from a digital marketing background who has turned into farming. Not into
yes,
exact farming, but to contribute to farming using drones.
correct.
How is the other crowd? Probably do you know what is the crowd made of today? Are they all software engineers? Are they all students?
I
I'm
would say that they're a good blend. I see a lot of people who are software engineers who come from the agri background itself. That means
okay.
You could say
Okay.
the previous generation was in agriculture. And I think
Oh, nice.
with my personal experience, I have seen a lot of engineers coming from farming families as well. So
No,
what?
crowd as I meant today's audience. I meant.
Yes, I will take
Yes,
that question, Karishma.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely, Naveen. We do have blend of cloud today who are AI experts
AI
and
expert.
domain
Okay.
little bit of expertise in agriculture space who are
Okay.
interested to work on this space.
Awesome. Awesome.
As
Okay.
we have just started with soil but component, but we will extend this. That's it, Naveen. We are blend of crowd today.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to sound dumb before experts then. So when you ask me questions, I'm
No, no, no,
pointing you
not.
towards it.
It
That's
is
why.
just an
Yeah.
interaction, Naveen.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah.
kind of, we wanted it to be more interactive. That is the reason probably it was a question for you.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I want
Yeah,
others
yeah.
to.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Naveen. Karishma, you can go ahead.
super. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So with that thinking thought, let's have some baseline understanding about the soil. Because when we think about crops, the first thing that's going to come to our mind is how is the soil health, right? So one of the most important components in soil health is nitrogen and phosphorus. Why is nitrogen important? Nitrogen is important because it ensures that the plants are not stunted. It ensures that there is no yellowing of leaves. There are more branches that grow if the soil is rich in nitrogen. We see that maybe with a lack of nitrogen, there could be longer time in maturing, which also means is that the farmer is going to will have to invest a lot more time and wait for a lot more time for harvesting and for monies to come in their hand. And also at the same time, with the lack of nitrogen, we see that the resistance of the crop kind of reduces, and there's a poor quality of food. Phosphorus, on the other hand, what happens is that we see that one of the most essential activities of the plant, which is photosynthesis, that gets affected exponentially. The root development becomes a problem, flowering becomes a problem, seed formation becomes an issue. So phosphorus is also very essential. Now, with the help of, and what we see over here, this is from a government website itself. There was an initiative taken by the government in 2023 where most farmers were getting their soil health cards. This is an aggregate data of the soil health card. And what we see over here, and very interestingly, that at least 65%, and I think we should give some concession for 2025 because we've just got out of our Kharif and Rabi season, right? So there is a natural tendency that the lower band of nitrogen within our farms is going to be much higher versus the previous year. So if we need to see an aggregate, we should see 2023 and 2024 itself. And we see that it is averaging between 66% and 65% in low nitrogen fields that we have. And also in terms of phosphorus, we see that most of our farms are falling either in a medium level of phosphorus or low level of phosphorus. Now, let's look at some other components also, which are essential for agriculture. Now, when we talk about the pH level, we're talking about whether the soil is alkaline, acidic, or whether it is neutral. Now, there's a little problem with the legends over here, again, because this is from a public domain, but the red actually indicates the acid levels in the, or the acidity of the soil. Now, what it actually is saying over here is that our acid levels are quite high. And why is that a concern? Because the nutrient levels lockup doesn't happen. Roots get damaged. Fertilizer consumption leads to there are inefficiency in fertilizer consumption by the crop. And most importantly, the organic carbon that we see over here, when a farm comes with a soil health card and they say that you have low organic carbon, it means that the organic carbon is lower than 0.5%. Now, what that actually means is if your soil has lower than 0.5% of organic carbon, it means that it can be classified as a desert. So there is no nutrient left in our soil which can lead to productivity. And this is a serious concern that is over there. Now, if we really need to understand what is it that the crops are feeling, I want to do a quick exercise with all of you. Try to rub your hand really hard. Okay, really hard. All of us. I would just take a second, rub it really hard. Do you feel the friction? Do you feel that heat? That heat is exactly what the soil is feeling when there is low carbon. It creates a dusty soil. And this is a serious concern for crops, or for us to be able to cultivate crops in our soil. So if you're constantly tracking the nutrient loss at a constant, or at a season to season basis, we are able to understand the fitness of the soil. And the irony of the whole situation is that it is easier to prevent loss than rather fixing it with chemicals, or say fertilizers that are available out there. But in today's day, tracking soil health is very much possible. For example, we have a lot of soil IoT. We have satellite link nutrient maps. We have AI driven crop plans. And these are actually information which is beneficial for the farmers as well. But like Anjali mentioned in the beginning of the presentation also, and the discussion, that this technology is not in the hands of the farmer. So we are constantly seeing nutrient loss, but we are not seeing how to preserve or ensure that, or restrict the loss of nutrients. We're just supplementing with more chemicals. We are supplementing with more nutrient or micronutrients that we can to the soil. So there has to be an holistic approach to this. Now, when we move to the next slide, what I want you to do is kind of time travel with me, right? So what we have over here is a pixel by pixel representation of India's soil from 1970 to 2020. What we see over here is our nutrient budget. What is the nutrient budget? Basically, it means that what is the nutrient input that we're putting in the soil versus what the output is. Now, what is output? Output could be nutrients lost while growing the crops. It could be lost due to groundwater, or any kind of other form of nutrient loss where the with the irrigation or water flow, the nutrients are flowing in the water itself. So those are basically your output, and input is whatever we're putting, either bio nutrients, or we are talking about synthetic nutrients. Those are our input. So now what I want you to do is I want you to find your state. You would know roughly where your state is in 1970, and you would and just hold on to that, right? So in 1970, what we see is that the input and the output were fairly equal. So there was no great loss in nutrient, or not surplus in terms of nutrient as well. However, in 1995, after the Green Revolution, there was an aftershock. We see that soon after the Green Revolution, there is a red patch coming through in the northern belt and the southeastern belt, particularly because the input was much higher than the output. And also we saw a significant loss of nitrogen and phosphorus in these regions. Similarly, in 2020, we saw that throughout the Hindi speaking belt, or you could say the northern belt, as well as in the Deccan area and the southern area, we see a significant loss of nutrients over here as well. And we see that a lot more farmlands were coming up as reds. So this is not only talking about running off of nutrients through groundwater, or loss of nutrients because of constant irrigation or flooding, or so on and so forth. But we are also talking about monies lost by the farmers, because these nutrients as well as these fertilizers do cost a lot of money for the farmers. So if I had to talk about money, because we are talking about the economic part of it, and I hope you found your states over here, right? So moving to the next slide, if we have to talk about it from an economic aspect itself, or from a monetary aspect itself, how I would explain this concept is, say I give you 1,000 rupees, right? And in 1970, keeping everything as is, right? Like the value of 1,000 rupees would still give you maybe say 1 kilo of fertilizers. So with that 1 kilo of fertilizers, a farmer was able to grow 13 kilos of food grain. Now, assume that everything is the same. There's no climatic change. Every other and other macro factors or micro factors remain constant. For that same 1,000 rupees, what farmers would be able to grow efficiently would be somewhere around 4 kgs of food grain, which means is that the cost per ton of yield has grown 3 times more since 1970. Simply putting it, it means that fertilizer inefficiency has led to higher cost per ton of yield. So that is what we're talking about. This is not only about the soil health, but having a direct impact on the cost of acquiring these agri inputs as well. If we could go to the next slide. So I think the way to synthesize this whole information is that India is in a silent crisis when it comes to our farms. Our lands are still green, but it is losing its strength on a year-on-year basis. It is getting slightly inefficient. And the lands are suffering. But if the lands are suffering, so is the farmer. And if the farmer is suffering, the economy would suffer. And eventually it would impact us because it would impact the food supply as well. Now, there are some hard-hitting facts which we should be aware of. One is that there is 29.3% land degradation happening in India, which it means is that 1 out of every 3 acre of land that was examined has degenerated over a period of time. This could be because of erosion. It could be because of nutrient mining as well. This information is available in the public domain. So what I would request all the participants to do today is, after our discussion, go to the ISRO website and look for ISRO land degradation report for 2024. And look at your state. If it is a lot more green, then breathe a sigh of relief. But if you see a lot of amber and red, then you know that there are some concerns over there. So what does degradation actually mean in terms of our rupee? I mean, like the spending or the cost value for us, right? So around 3.17 lakh crore is the price tag we are paying because of land degradation. What it actually means is that 2.5% of the GDP is lost from us. So if we were thinking about actually improving our agriculture's contribution to GDP, we said that there is somewhere between 4 to 5% that is lost since 2021. There you go. I'm telling you that there is 2.5% sitting right there only by building regenerative agriculture and good soil health that is maintained by the farmers. And of course, there are a lot more other things. What was very interesting is that we have been seeing a lot of subsidies in urea. Urea particularly gives only about 30 to 35% of efficiency. What it actually means is that out of every 2 rupees that was spent, out of every 3 rupees that was spent on fertilizers or nutrients, was 2 rupees was lost in nutrients, either because of underground water evaporation, or loss through underground water, or the running off of water and nutrients that flow within it. So simply put, poor soil leads to poor yield. Poor yield leads to lower income for the farmers, which leads to higher risk for the farmers and eventually leads to lower investments, which means that again, the soil health continues to be poor. So I think what we've done so far is we've unpacked the problem statement quite a bit. We've understood our baseline in terms of what are the nutrients that are essential. We've also understood how the soil has been degenerating over a period of time. What is the cost that we are paying for this degeneration of land is what we have unpacked so far. So from here on, what we will be looking at is how we can build better nutrient plans for the farmer, smarter nutrient plans for the farmer. How can we give soil insights for the farmers? How we can build AI-enabled recommendation so that we are able to build towards this profitability and remove the cost pressure from the farmer. So we'll go to the next slide for this. So while we have soil health issue, we are also innovating at a rapid pace on a day-to-day basis. And I would say that every day we are hearing about new technology or new innovations or new collaborations being built within the agri sector. Now, for example, fertilizers. Fertilizers no longer is a one-size-fit-all solutions. We have seen the eruption, or we've seen actually a lot of sprouting of nano fertilizers, where it allows the plants to absorb the nutrients faster and there is lesser wastage. We see customized blends. Customized blends is basically matching the fertilizer type to the soil type, to the crop, or say the region. This creates a very targeted impact rather than looking at just dumping chemicals. Then we have bundled services where farmers are buying inputs and buying plants such as soil testing as well as fertigation maps. So there is a lot of interchangeable information in terms of diagnostics as well as action which is happening at a grassroots level. AgriTech plays a very essential role. For example, we have precision tool, and we have a lot of examples over here in our group as well, such as sensors in the soil, drones in the air, and satellite images from the space. And what it tells us is what the soil needs. And this hyper-local information is what is available to the farmers. At this point, it's not at their fingertips, but this technology does exist. Data as a service is also becoming a reality today. We have something called as the Bhumi Aadhaar card as well, where we are trying to build a digital footprint of our land as well. Then we have API ready platforms where agri dealers and startups can now plug into real time soil intelligence and can build advisory for the farmer as well. So in all, we're looking at soil as a service and tech companies building hyper local recommendation for the villages, because there needs to be some form of intelligence and relevance where trust can be built for the farmers. If we could go to the next slide. But is information only sufficient? No, it's not. There also needs to be incentive for the farmer, correct? So food companies are playing a very pivotal role over here, where they're co-creating pilot spaces with the farmers, where they can pilot composting, where they can train farmers on cover cropping, zero tillage, and rebuild soil nutrition naturally. Also, at the same time, they're incentivizing farmers for, say, regenerative ag practices. For example, carbon credits, biodiversity credits. This is all that is incentivizing farmers and helping them understand for the effort that they're putting, that they're getting incentivized as well. Farmers get paid not just for their yield, but also the effort that they're putting in the farm. And this is very essential in this whole ecosystem that we are seeing that is getting built on a day-to-day basis. Of course, the PPP model is very essential, where the public and the private partnership plays a pivotal role. We are talking about on-the-go soil testing, mobile labs. We are talking about regional soil health hubs. Also, at the same time, there's a carbon marketplace that is getting built for the farmers. And these are actually initiatives which are creating a win-win situation for both the public, the private, and the farmers as well, which is bringing monetary benefits for the farmers. If we could go to the next slide. With all these efforts that we are seeing, we really have to sit and ask ourselves, what does really good agriculture or good regenerative practices look like? What it looks like is that there would be more regenerative agriculture in terms of intercropping, mixed cropping, and farmers having information around it. Or we see that there is an increase in soil carbon or organic matter, or there is an increase in water holding in their soil, or there is an increase in profit margin. All this, if we see it happening in a tangible format, we know that there are good regenerative practices happening, and we would be able to sustain agriculture. Now, is it that it is not happening? No, not at all. There are some really good use cases, and I would invite all our participants today to look at some of these examples that are there. For example, there is a farmer group in Bihar which have used mustard as a cover crop for their paddy produce as well. For, say, the soil carbon, we see that Mahindra Krishi Vikas Kendra is promoting compost kits as in their local regions. We know Hiware Bazaar. This is actually one of the places where we was extremely drought-prone villages. But with the villagers' effort, they were able to build 340 wells in these villages, and underground water grew also exponentially. They say that most of the millionaire villagers come from these villages itself. And of course, we have seen some farmers growing exponentially in terms of their profit margin as well. Next slide, please. So here's the truth. sustainable agriculture isn't just about farmers' challenge. It is also that our soil is getting a little tired. Our farmers are paying the price for this. What we need is that we need the policy makers to move from input subsidies to output-based incentives. What we need is a market for carbon and biodiversity credit system. AgriTech and fertilizer companies need to be more bio-based innovation. They need to build farmer-friendly services which combine both diagnostic as well as action on the go. We need food companies to reward farmers for incorporating regenerative agriculture and training farmers, and also at the same time promote women to get more into agriculture because their equal participation is required in this space. So if we fix the soil, we will fuel the future, because with a strong soil, India will continue to grow. So what we've done today throughout the discussion is we've just scratched the surface and understanding what is this one component, which is soil health management. What is this one component and what is the benefit that we can have at a short term and a long term basis? Going forward, we will also be talking about water, we would be talking about pest, supply chain, profit modules, and slowly together what we will be doing is unlocking each of these components. Once we unlock all these components, we would be able to see how we can build an ecosystem that works for us. So if we stick together and we keep building our understanding on each of these components, at the end of the day, what you will get is a full stack farmer first solution, which would be ready to deploy. So if we could go to the next slide, and before we move into the Q&A session, what I would like for all of us to think today or take away from the session is, what is the one thing or one way your sector or company can champion soil health in 2025, 2026? If we can hear from you in terms of suggestions, in terms of your thoughts, even if you have questions, we are very excited to hear from you. So I look forward to your thoughts on this question, and with that I open the floor for Q&A session, and Anjali, I hand it over to you.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I had a quick question. So, what is the incentive for the uh, agricultural companies to collaborate with farmers in this direction and make things better? Right.
Got it. When we say agriculture company, could you give me a little more
So,
understanding which company this is?
I mean, any kind of agro company that is buying products from the farmers and then creating end products for consumers like us to use. What is the incentive for them to invest so much in this direction and then make things um, make such a long-term investment?
Right. I think, like we had discussed even in the beginning, right? It's really about building sustainable agriculture. If you're not going to invest in our soil health or soil health management, where it is improving, the information that is available to the farmers, they know exactly what they need to do with the soil. If we are not going to do that, we're going to see a constant degeneration of the land itself. The overall productivity of the land is going to reduce, which means that it is directly going to impact food security. It is going to impact your accessibility or my accessibility to food. Maybe there could be also a situation where, certain types of crops are only not available, which we have seen. We've seen that happening over a period of time. So I think the way to look at this problem statement is that we are not only investing in today, but we are investing in tomorrow. We are investing in food security eventually. So it is very essential for us to see how we can build this ecosystem, because the ecosystem is extremely fragmented. There is a lot of work happening, but it's happening in different pockets. Now we need that whole system to talk to each other. As we find it very easy for us to navigate digitally for all our requirements in the urban spaces that we live in, it should be as easy as that for the farmers as well, so that they can take out the pressure from them, and we can push it towards their productivity. And that productivity in turn will lead into food security as well. I hope I've answered your question with that.
Yeah. It- so do you expect that it will be a partnership wherein farmers and agricultural companies both will uh, put in required investment to build the necessary tools, or is it like it should be more of a government and an agricultural or a food product companies taking the initiative and farmers getting those things to make use of freely?
I think
How do you vision that landscape to evolve?
it's really not, I mean, I think we'll have to look internally over here. It's not only about, is it only going to be efforts from the farmer side, or only from the government, or only from the private sector? Absolutely not. It's going to be all of us coming together and shaking hands in this. This has to be a PPP model. There has to be the public sector, there have to be a private sector, and there needs to be an interaction between the two sectors. And believe it or not, without that interaction, it is not going to be feasible. Because where we see private sectors actually failing, we see the public sectors do very well over there. So there has to be an interchange of intelligence, resources, as well as accessibility that needs to be created by both. We need technology from the private sector, and we need accessibility, and we need infrastructure from the government. Without these two happening, I don't see a sustainable solution for the farmers, where technology is playing a pivotal role. And without, and also at the same time, we have to understand that who's losing in the process? The farmer is losing. And with that, what is happening is our soil is not getting regenerated. So there has to be a good balance between the government and the private sector talking to each other to build a sustainable ecosystem. Without that, we are not going to be able to solve this problem. Without these two talking, we are not going to have a solution in hand.
I think there's another question on the chat box. Anjali, would you like to ask Karishma?
Sure. So, Karishma, there's a question from Rashmika, and she's asking if there's enough infrastructure in rural India to support hyperlocal soil management.
I would say that infrastructure, and I think coming back to the previous question as well, I think the infrastructure is getting built. The ecosystem is getting built, right? So what we are seeing is that there are initiatives being taken in different pockets, and these are actually becoming like dots that need to be connected now, right? So there is opportunity, no doubt about it. There needs to be a strong interaction between the public and the private sector. We need to have more joint soil labs. We need to have mobile units so that they are able to go into the real rural spaces of India as well. And this information should be available to the farmers on their fingertips. Now, without that happening, I think how you would see it is that the infrastructure is still getting built, and it's not built in a day. It takes time. It takes even technology to transform quite a bit, so that we are able to speak in a way where the farmers are able to consume this information. So it is not only about the infrastructure, but it is also about the farmers getting familiar with the technology. And with this combination of both private and public sector, yes, we can work towards building an ecosystem, but it is a work in progress at this point in time.
Absolutely, Karishma. I agree with your point. It has to be a collaborative effort now.
Yes.
Hi, Karishma. I have a follow-on question to this.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea as a whole, it sounds very promising, but how do we convince the small farmers to adapt to this, AI technologies and AI insights for soil practices?
I think that's a very interesting question, right? Um, what, in my experience at least, what I have seen of the solutions and technologies that are available on ground, we have to understand that adoption of technology is based on trust, relevance, simplicity, and visible ROI. Nobody is going to put their time and effort on adopting something that is new for them if they're not going to see these four aspects. If they can't build trust, then they're not going to depend on it. If we can't build relevance, then that's a concern as well. If it is not simple where I'm able to digest it, I'm not going to take that on. And if I can't see an ROI, why would I invest my time in it? So if it is true for us, it is true for the farmers as well. So it's not about convincing them about adopting technology. It is more about the fact that, are we able to, one, build that trust? Are we able to tweak technology in a way which is easy for the farmers to ingest bite by bite? And also at the same time, are we able to build trust in the process? If we are able to take care of these four components, then adoption is going to be a very easy pattern, and it's going to happen even faster than we can. Let me talk about one example, and please indulge me in this. I think this was in Hisar, that I had visited a farmer group over there. And what I found in that visit was that the farmers are already all on WhatsApp. There's a farmer WhatsApp group. Okay, there's one retailer over there. And that retailer is, you could say, an agriculture expert, or somebody who's been doing agriculture for the last 10 years, 15 years, or things like that. And he has a lot of information about it. So what he's done is, this retailer is actually in one part of the village, and all the farmers are in touch with him on WhatsApp group. Every day what they're getting is a photo of a crop root, saying that something has happened to my sugarcane, or something has happened to my potato, or something, what has happened to my leaf. So this is happening constantaneously. So we do see technology adoption is there, but are we building trust? Is there relevance for the farmer? Is it simple for them to use it? Can they see a visible ROI? If we answer yes to all four answers, then definitely technology is possible. There's a possibility for technology to be in the smallholder farmers.
Yeah, that's a great example, Karishma. And I also feel that do you think there is a necessity to show farmers some use cases and success stories of practicing this AI models in farming?
Yes,
Or do
there
we
is.
have something ready?
I think there are a lot of examples of
Mhm.
how technology is. Like, for example, there was, a show and tell of how drones can be used, and not necessarily. And it was very interesting. Why I would say is, um, suddenly the conversation immediately changed into chemical just being, like we have the traditional way, where we see farmers just spraying fertilizers or on the crops. But suddenly, with the introduction of drones, and with that show and tell that we saw in certain fields as well, we saw that there was an interest in farmers to say, oh, okay, fine. Now I can also think about nutrients. I don't only have to think about, mass fertilizer. I can think about macronutrients. I can think about micronutrients, and only spray in those locations where my vegetation index is the lowest. So wherever there has been demos, wherever there has been training, wherever there has been an active on ground conversation about the technology, because there has to be some kind of trust that we build with the farmers. There has to be a relevance also to their use case. Without that, and also the farmers need to touch and feel and understand whether it is simple, and also see that, is there a ROI for me? For example, with the drone application of fertilizers, or say micronutrients or macronutrients, even for the matter of fact of water irrigation, if it has to be used, what actually is very useful is that the farmer's lifestyle improves immediately. Why? Because he doesn't have to go to the field in the morning or in the evening, because the temperature also matters at that point in time. Or for a matter of fact, that the farmers feel that, okay, with the push of a button, I can start drip irrigation. I can ensure that I don't have to spend so much money on macro and micronutrients. I can directly put the necessary chemical in water and spray in this portion of land itself. So I'm saving money also. So if we are able to show tangible solutions, and we are able to give them the necessary examples, and we are able to give them demos, then yes, the adoption is very easy on grassroots level.
Great, thanks for that.
Thanks, Harish, for your question. And
One second, Anjali.
Sure.
Adding to Karishma's point, as a technology sector providers, we should always think about how we can, solve this problem and make it more approachable to the farmers, leading to some socio-economical challenge which we have to address, which is very, very priority at present stage of our country. Yeah, you can go ahead, Anjali.
Sure. Thanks, Lakshmi, for your inputs. And I see one more question, Karishma, from Karishma, saying that do you have any prediction on how AI will become more helpful for farmers at the grassroots level in the future?
I think it will be a very important connector. Now, remember earlier in our discussions also, we are talking that there are pockets of effort and innovations that are happening in different spaces, right? I truly believe, and how I see even the market changing, is that AI is going to be that infrastructure that's going to connect all these dots. Without that connectivity, we are not going to get a one-stop solution for the farmer. So AI is going to be that golden thread that is going to weave through all technologies and bring the solution in the hands of the farmer. So I do believe, and I'm betting my buck on AI to change and revolutionize and bring us another revolution, green revolution that we are looking at.
Yeah, mostly on precision farming. Yeah, mostly on
Yes.
precision farming we have
Precision, protective, it's going to be both,
protective.
a
Yes.
combination of both. Absolutely.
Yeah, mostly we have to focus towards advisory kind of things, which is highly approachable to the farmers. That
Yes.
has to be a major focus for us now.
Absolutely. With that, we can build trust. We need to make it more relevant. How do we make it more relevant? It needs to be at a hyper local level. Sometimes what happens is the advisories that the farmers get is about a farmer in North. But what has that got to do with a farmer in the Southeast, right? So there is, and believe it or not, India is blessed with a vast soil profile. So it is not a one solution that fits all. It is customization, and hyper local intelligence is the key for the future.
That's a good thing that you raised. I mean, when I'm on my rounds, one thing which I've noticed is, when I joined, I mean, if you see my LinkedIn profile, it says drones and AI.
Yeah.
And most of the drones that are being sold nowadays, they say, oh, precision spraying with AI. Do you know
Yeah.
what AI is used for exactly for these drones? It is only used for precision as to where it will spray.
Yes.
Nothing regarding the soil, nothing regarding the crops, nothing. I mean, farmers asked me, okay, you've done this year, will the next year the same mapping work? No, it's
Hmm.
not possible because trees will grow, farms will be sold, your farms will be divided between your kids, so nothing remains the same. I mean, it's a fact. It
Right.
sounds like a joke, but that's a fact.
No,
And
it
that's
is. Of
that
course it is.
yeah, that's one of the reasons why things aren't working as much as we think, as much as I had thought of or dreamt of also on the ground, because uh, bun raha hai sab kuch. I mean, everything is getting divided so much that, I mean, even when you think about pesticides, fertilizers, nobody is on the same page on the ground level.
Yes.
And
Yes.
even in the same area, believe me, brothers are
Yes.
not talking to each other. I mean, it's a problem which we all have, but I saw some good AI questions being raised. I mean, I would like people to really come with me on the ground level. I mean, I know English, by the way. I speak Kannada and I
Yes.
speak really with the farmers. I soil my this thing also.
Yes.
I am from a software background, literally a software background, nobody in the farming field. To answer most of your questions, one thing which the farmers need is talk their language. Believe me, panchayats are not giving the same thing. Karishma, you told me a lot of good things about these things. I mean, I still remember people know NPK.
Yes.
का एनपीके लेवल क्या है? आई मीन इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी,
Ah,
you are from
correct.
UK I guess, but still इसका एनपीके लेवल क्या है? We literally feel that, I mean, in simple words, different companies have a different combination of NPK to serve their needs. Somebody
Absolutely.
says I will improve your leaf, I will improve your roots, I will
Hmm.
improve your soil. NPK
Hmm.
level, that's it. On the ground, that is what they know, the language.
Correct.
And I've started speaking that language now. And what you showed on this thing is really nice, believe me. But when I'm speaking to the farmers, I have to convert it into more
Correct.
Hindi.
So
So, yeah,
look at the
go ahead, go ahead.
possibilities. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Look at the possibilities, Naveen. Now, as a matter of fact, you're not only telling them about through drone itself, with say, suppose if you're taking pictures of the crop, if you see a
yeah.
lot more yellow leaves, oh,
I
nitrogen is
know.
finished,
Yeah,
right? If
yeah.
you see
Surveying drones
shorter,
are. Yeah, surveying drones are doing that. I will simply tell a story like that. You know, when it's green, it's healthy, yellow is rotting, and orange is gone. If I
And
tell
also
you
the fact is that
initially,
the
yeah,
height of the
yeah.
crop as well. So
But
say,
that brings, yeah,
yeah,
that brings to the point which I wanted to start just now, and I drifted, I think.
yes,
There is no means because of different soils in all of India. There is no basis of comparison. There's no Bible yet in India, believe me. And that's where this group has to contribute, which I felt. The
yes.
AI folks, right, has to have a Bible somewhere. They should collect data. Drone companies are not doing it. They're only collecting which farmer gave them how much money, which area has given us profits. They are
Mm.
not collecting soil. They are not. Believe me, if you see my website, I have tried to say that, if you have any AI related things, I'll help you collect them. Not one company. I'm not talking to lots. At least three company responded. They didn't ask me for soil or crop related data at all. They said, which is a land parcel, how much are the farmers? If you see, if you see the disconnect, all are
Yes,
not looking at what you are talking here.
of course.
That's where it will work. I feel.
Yes, absolutely, Naveen. And I think that's the effort that we are trying to put together
Yeah.
with the help of MetricDust as well. We ask the right questions, we try to show you the data, we're trying to build a unified conversation. And
Yeah.
with your effort and a collective effort, we think we can build an impact. So we should keep the conversation going on this subject at least.
Sure.
So, Naveen, to
You,
start with, this is only one single primary component we have started with, but going forward, we do have multiple components which will impact soil health, which includes water management, pesticides. So, we have
yeah, yeah.
categorized few. Yeah. So, we'll go by step. As you suggested, we are working
Oh,
towards advisory AI. That is what I'm calling for now. It's not
yeah.
prescriptive or predictive, but advisory AI. So, we'll look
Your
forward
things are
to your
nice.
suggestions as well. Yes.
Yeah, I frankly didn't know a lot of things that you said today. I don't want to claim to be an expert, but I'm on the
Thanks for
ground. Yeah, I'm on the ground really. And the first thing that goes through my mind is, how do I tell what Karishma madam said to the farmers? That's going through my mind rather than anything else. And how I can incorporate it in my business. If any of these AI folks who are on this, even on this thing, if anybody wants to talk to me and you
Definitely.
speak in
I think
English, I'll convert it to Kannada, farmer Kannada, believe me.
absolutely. And I
So
think
nice.
that's what is very interesting, isn't it, Naveen? What you're asking is a very pertinent question. What are we going to
Yeah.
do with this information if the farmer is not going to be able to use
Not
it?
aware of it.
Right. And
Yes.
today
Yeah.
Karishma is there,
Yeah.
tomorrow Karishma is not there, tomorrow Naveen is there, tomorrow Naveen is not there. But the technology
Yeah.
should continue, right? So there has to be a so
Continue.
our effort needs to be in the tech part of it to make it available to the farmers in the language they understand, in a way that they can
Understand.
understand where their interest is of utmost importance. Because, and it's not only about the farmer, we're talking about the overall soil health, right? And today's topic will only
Agree.
stick to soil health itself. But
Soil.
the objective is to improve the soil health.
Yeah.
Invariably, it will impact the farmer, it will impact you, it will impact me, and it will impact the economy as a whole. So the objective needs to change slightly over here. We need to be more focused on ensuring that we're protecting the soil health and we're building better soil health management systems.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree.
Naveen, nice talking to you. We will connect later, definitely for more understanding to the ground level, because
Sure.
this is just a start for us. It is going to be a long journey. Definitely, we would love to
Right. Right.
have your input in our base. Anjali, would you
I'd
like to
love to hear
conclude?
from you.
Yeah.
Sure. So, yeah, anybody whose queries have gone unanswered, I would request and welcome everyone to please fill in the feedback form and ask their questions if they have any more left, so that we'll try to get back to you as quick as possible. So now we'll conclude the session. And first of all, I'd like to thank Karishma for that eye-opening session and bringing so much clarity, depth, and urgency to a problem that truly affects us all. And thank you to everyone who interacted, participated, and brought forward questions that actually help us think deeper and come up with more robust solutions. If there's one thing we are taking up today and taking away today from this session, is that it's that solving the yield crisis isn't just about deploying technology, it's about building trust, listening harder, designing better, and thinking systematically. AI has the potential to help farmers manage soil health, improve fertilizer efficiency, and adapt to unpredictable weather patterns, but only if we ground our innovation in real everyday access, which includes reliable internet, practical localized training, and trustworthy information about plants and soil. This isn't just a farmer challenge, as we have seen. It's a shared challenge, and it deserves our collective attention, energy, and action. Thank you for taking your time out and joining us for the fourth edition of Metric Talks. Please keep an eye out for follow up materials and information about future events. And we are extremely grateful to Karishma for agreeing to take up this session. And as we conclude another successful session, we hope to see you again at the next edition of Metric Talks. Don't forget to claim your certificate of participation, and I've put up the feedback form link for that in the chat. And follow Metric Talks for more such session and other tech related information. Until next time, stay curious, have a good day, and thank you everyone. I hope you had a great session.